How many times have you played by the rules, given your absolute all, and still watched her walk away? You were the perfect guy, kind, attentive, always there, text back in seconds, fiercely loyal. Yet, somewhere in the dark, a man who didn't even try half as hard, a man who broke every rule of modern dating, left a scar on her soul that time will never heal. Why does the nice guy get forgotten while the ghost of another man haunts her thoughts forever? For years, you've been lied to. You've been told to fix your posture, update your wardrobe, buy the expensive cologne, and memorize pathetic pickup lines. It's all a scam. The truth isn't in some cheap modern dating manual. It was buried 2,500 years ago by Lao Tzu, a mysterious Chinese philosopher who wrote a masterwork in a single night and vanished into the fog forever. His ancient text, the Tao Te Ching, cracks open a terrifying truth about human nature. Women never forget a man, not because of what he does, but because of what he brutally is.
Look around you. Modern men are drowning in a digital swamp of Instagram aesthetics, fragile egos, and desperate validation. They are loud, predictable, and utterly replaceable. But Lao Tzu spoke of a rare breed of man who moves like water. Water has no shape, yet it crushes the hardest rock. It flows to the darkest, humblest places, yet every living creature dies without it. Today, we're stripping away the masks. We're dissecting the 5 lethal, quiet traits of the unforgettable man. But a warning before we begin. This is not a costume you can put on tomorrow morning. If you try to fake this, you will fail miserably. This requires an internal slaughter of your insecurities. The question isn't how to act. The question is, do you have the courage to destroy who you are today, to become someone she can never erase from her mind? The first weapon is unshakable presence. Think about the last time you got into a heated argument or felt rejected. What did you do? You exploded, you defended yourself, or you vanished into a passive-aggressive silence. You reacted. And the moment you react, you become predictable. In psychology, this is called emotional reactivity, and it means you are a puppet. Anyone can press your buttons and predict exactly how you will dance. Now, picture the dangerous alternative. A man who stands in the middle of an emotional storm, perfectly still. He isn't cold or numb. He is the rock in a crashing river. When she tries to provoke him, he doesn't flinch. He listens, pauses, and responds from a position of absolute internal gravity. This triggers a primitive psychological reflex in a woman: safety. Psychology proves humans are irresistibly magnetized, not by those who entertain them, but by those who represent an unbreakable foundation. Real calm cannot be faked. It is the scent of a man who has conquered his own demons.
The second trait is the most misunderstood paradox in human history: loving detachment. The weak man thinks detachment means being a cold, distant jerk. That's just fear disguised as pride. True Taoist detachment is the terrifying ability to love completely without needing. It is choosing her every single day while being absolutely fine if she walks away tomorrow. Renowned psychologist Arthur Aron discovered that moderate uncertainty about a man's feelings drastically spikes a woman's romantic obsession. When a man is desperately needy, his affection feels like a suffocating weight. But when a man has a brutal purpose, a life of his own, and a soul that doesn't depend on her validation, everything changes. He becomes a prize, not an obligation. As Lao Tzu strictly put it, hold without possessing, act without expecting. When your attention is a privilege, not a guarantee, your silence speaks louder than 1,000 desperate texts. The third execution is the power of silent depth. We live in an absolute circus of noise, where everyone is screaming for attention. In this chaos, the man who speaks less commands the room.
Not because he has nothing to say, but because his words carry heavy artillery. When you stop rehearsing your reply and actually listen with predatory focus, you trigger a rush of oxytocin in her brain, the bonding hormone. You become the only mirror in her life where she feels truly seen. While other men talk endlessly to impress her, you let the silence sit. The loud man entertains, the silent man makes her think. And the man who makes a woman think is the one who occupies her mind at 3 a.m., long after the fire has gone out.
Fourth is the humility of power. The insecure man treats every conversation like a war he must win. He interrupts, boasts, and demands respect. He is screaming his weakness for the world to hear. Real humility only belongs to the man who already knows his worth. He doesn't need to project it. He can admit fault without breaking, and he treats a waiter and a billionaire with the exact same unbothered respect. In a world full of manufactured, hyperinflated personas, absolute authenticity is a superpower. When a woman encounters a man who refuses to wear a mask, she realizes she cannot categorize him, she cannot control him, and she can never, ever forget him. The final, quietest trait is kindness without witnesses. It is the absolute difference between doing good for a camera and doing good because it is your code. Human beings possess mirror neurons, hardwired evolutionary tech designed to spot fake intentions instantly. When you act out of a genuine, unseen internal compass, you build emotional credibility. This is what Lao Tzu meant when he said, "Precisely because he does not compete, no one can compete with him." Stop playing the comparison game. The moment you stop competing with the world and anchor yourself deeply into your own nature, what the Tao calls Ming, you become irreplaceable. There is no competition because there is only one of you. The unforgettable man was never perfect. He wasn't the richest or the most handsome, but he was ruthlessly, irrevocably himself. He didn't play games, he was the game. If you took this red pill to the very blood-soaked end, comment "I made it" below so I can personally acknowledge your discipline. Subscribe to join the Shadow Empire, leave a like, and stop wearing the mask. The choice is yours.